Understand me. I do not want to interfere with your hunting and fishing. I want you to pursue it throughout the country as you have heretofore done.
First Nations also saw education as a key to secure their livelihood.
You need not concern yourselves so much with what your grandchildren are going to eat. Your children will be taught, and they will be as well able to take care of themselves as the whites around them.
The written text of the treaties made provisions that schools would be set up on reserves. Reserves were another provision made in the treaties.
Now, what I and my brother commissioners would like to do is this. We wish to give each band who will accept of it a place where they may live. We wish to give you as much or more land than you need. We wish to send a man that surveys the land to mark it off, so you will know that it is your own and no one will interfere with you.
Between 1874 and 1906, 5 treaties were negotiated, legal documents that bind First Nations and the Government of Canada to a formal relationship.
I feel what we have done today a good work. The years will pass away and we with them. But the work we have done today will stand as the hills.
But even as the treaties were being negotiated, there were signs the partnership was breaking down. The Government of Canada introduced the Indian Act of 1876. It contained provisions that attempted to assimilate First Nations people into the culture of the newcomers. Residential schools were set up to teach First Nations children, even though the treaty agreement made provisions for First Nations to choose where and how their children would be educated. The schools focused on the culture and religion of the Europeans. Children were taken from their homes and families and were taught to resent their own culture. They were forced to learn the language and belief structures of the Europeans. At the same time, many First Nations leaders were imprisoned for practicing their own spirituality.
When I said we went through hard times, I'm not just talking going without food just one day. A lot of our people starved. A lot of our people died with disease that is curable, but they weren't looked after.
When Saskatchewan became a province in 1905, more than 100 treaties had been ratified in Canada. All are part of 5 treaties lied inside Saskatchewan's boundaries. The failure to implement the treaty relationship has hurt generations of First Nations families. The Indian Act was amended in 1951 to remove many restrictions placed on First Nations people. A decade later, First Nations were finally granted the right to vote in Canada. In 1989, a treaty commissioner was appointed to try to find a common path to the future. And in 1998, the Government of Canada issued a statement of reconciliation. The path has now been cleared to revive the treaty process.
I think the elders are very adamant and very clear that notwithstanding all of the problems, that a relationship was created through treaty, and that it is a relationship that is binding on both parties, the Crown and the First Nations, and neither has the option of abandoning or terminating that relationship. That they're very clear on.
The stage is now set for a new opportunity to build the treaty relationship. First Nations and the Government of Canada are forging a new alliance. They're looking at issues of the past as a bridge to the future. Their work may well determine the future for all of us. As long as the sun shines, the grass grows, and the rivers flow, we are all part of treaty.